Floods update in Germany, June 3, 2024.
Lan inşallah o yollar açık olur da birisi öne geçer ya. Birisi öne geçer ha. Adaş.
The flooding in southern Germany has caused dams to burst, thousands of evacuations, and left communities inundated. Oliver Pieper reports from Augsburg. Tobias Kunz has been under constant pressure since 6 a.m. on Saturday. The mayor of Nordendorf, a small community of 2,600 inhabitants north of Augsburg, is desperately fighting the floodwaters of the river Schmutter. Together with 300 volunteers, he is trying to save the local primary school itself. Yesterday we filled 40,000 sandbags and built a 240-meter-long dike with them, he told DW. Some of the helpers have been on their feet for 40 hours without sleep. But with the extreme amounts of water today, even that wasn't enough. The volunteers are hurrying to pack the black sandbags from one corner to the other, while Kunz, coordinating the relief efforts, gets bombarded with questions by the second. The school will definitely be closed this Monday, he explains with a sad laugh. But what particularly depresses him is that the battle against the water around the new sports field has been lost. The dam has broken. Our school sports field, which cost around $1 million to build, was underwater in a quarter of an hour. The entire infrastructure is flooded. The same thing is happening in Nordendorf as in many communities in southern Germany. The dams cannot withstand the water, and dozens of villages have had to be evacuated. The initial assessment: in some places, more rain fell in 24 hours than the average for an entire month, and the water reached levels that are usually only reached once in a century. Baden-württemberg and Bavaria were particularly affected this weekend, with some communities having to issue a state of emergency. For many, the extent of the flooding came as a complete surprise, which was also the case for the 4 young men standing a little indecisively a few kilometers further south in Kuhlenthal. Their problem: they can no longer reach the house that they had been busy protecting with sandbags yesterday because of the flooding today. The village has now been evacuated. It's the house of one of our parents, who are on vacation in Austria, they told DW. We tried to save what we could yesterday. But the water came from all directions. At least we were able to drive the 2 cars up the mountain and bring them to safety. In Diedorf, a few kilometers west of Augsburg, 6 car owners were not so lucky.
Gerüste değmesin de.
Yok. Demiri aldı o yani. Bir dakika ha. Allah'ım.
An underground car park was completely flooded, as were the cellars of the surrounding houses. The German Federal Agency for Technical Relief is now on site, using a special device to pump out the brown sludge, at a rate of 10,000 liters per minute. A dike and a dam also broke in Diedorf. Although the floodwaters are now slowly receding and the water levels are falling again, no one in the small fire station wants to sound the all clear. Not even Philip Niegel, the local fire brigade commander. Like everyone else, Niegel does this job on a voluntary basis. Those who had been evacuated and had not been able to find a place to sleep with relatives or friends were able to spend the night in the nearby sports hall in Diedorf. In the city of Augsburg, the central reception center for all those stranded is the huge exhibition hall. A camp with beds for 300 people was set up here in record time. Augsburg has experience in disaster management. The Schmutter, which normally meanders quietly through the town of Kuhlenthal behind the house, was suddenly 4 meters wide and water was seeping into the basement. People in Germany need to adapt to increasingly frequent floods, the premier of the southwestern state of Baden-Württemberg, Winfried Kretschmann, said. "We have to expect that we'll get something like this more often," he said, referring to a recent bout of flooding affecting southern Germany. He made the statement during a visit to the heavily flood-affected municipality of Meckenboren in the south of the state. Kretschmann said that the increased frequency of flooding seemed to be a consequence of climate change. He said that, in this instance, Baden-Württemberg had gotten off lightly compared to the neighboring state of Bavaria. At the same time, Baden-Württemberg's premier stressed that the situation in the north of the state was still extremely precarious. A passenger ship on the Danube has been evacuated due to flooding, authorities in Germany's southeastern state of Bavaria said. A spokesperson for the council of the Deggendorf district said that 140 people were evacuated. The vessel could not travel any further due to the high water level, she said. Also on Monday, District Council head Bernd Sibler declared Deggendorf was facing a major emergency due to the flooding. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has pledged federal support for those affected by flooding in southern Germany. During a visit to the town of Reichertshofen in the southeastern state of Bavaria, Scholz said solidarity is what we as people most need. He was accompanied by Interior Minister Nancy Faeser and Bavarian Premier Markus Söder. "We will do everything we can to ensure that help can be provided more quickly," he said, adding that the federal government will mobilize resources to that effect. Scholz said that people in Germany must increasingly adapt to natural disasters, especially floods. He warned against neglecting the task of stopping man-made climate change. "This is also a warning that must be taken away from this event and this disaster," he said. Parts of Germany's Rhine River have been closed to ships due to heavy rainfall, authorities said. The Middle Rhine, which runs between the western German cities of Bonn and Mainz, could also be closed on Wednesday. Water levels of the Rems and Mur rivers in southern Germany continue to rise despite subsiding rain, authorities said. A dam on the Paar River in the Pfaffenhofen and Ilm district of Bavaria has suffered 3 breaches, local officials said. The Paar is a tributary of the Danube. The district council told residents in the municipalities of Bar Ebenhausen and Manching to leave the ground floor of their homes and to seek refuge in higher levels.